When the bombs fell on Fangak on May 3rd, they didn't fall on military base, they fell on a hospital, a lifeline, a place of healing reduced to ash. That hospital, run by Médecins Sans Frontières, was the only functioning medical facility in the area. 7 civilians lost their lives, 20 more were wounded, mostly women, children, and the elderly. But it didn't end there. Welcome to today's episode where we analyze recent happenings in South Sudan. On May 4th and 5th, South Sudan's government and Ugandan warplanes struck again, this time in New Fangak. Then on May 6th, Mayom County was bombed, another 5 civilians killed, several more injured. These weren't combatants, these were herders, mothers, children, civilians living on land the government sees as politically inconvenient.
These houses were destroyed at 4 a.m. last night. The fires are still burning. The situation is extremely difficult.
These are not isolated incidents. They are part of a wider, deliberate campaign. Other areas like Nasser, Longchuk, Ulang, home predominantly to Nuer civilians, have also come under repeated aerial assault. These aren't battlefields, they are communities. There is no credible military target in these locations. The bombings serve no strategic objectives. They are, by design, instruments of ethnic terror. The contrast in the government's response to different regions is telling. On May 1st in Tony, Warrap State, armed local youth disarmed 13 government soldiers. They seized military-grade weapons, 11 AK-47 and 2 PKM. And yet, no airstrikes followed, no reprisal, no military operation. Why? Because the youth in Tonj were not Nuer. This is not a failure of state control. It is a calculated use of state violence. The South Sudanese government retaliates with overwhelming force only when it is politically or ethnically convenient to do so. This selective brutality reflects a deeply embedded policy of suppression targeted not at armed groups but at entire civilian populations. What we are witnessing is a campaign of ethnic displacement. The victims of these bombings are not fighters. They are subsistence farmers, nomadic herders, caregivers, civilians punished simply for where they live and who they are. Meanwhile, other ethnic groups remain largely silent, not out of complicity but out of fear that they could be next. This silence, widespread and strategic, has enabled the regime to escalate its violence unchecked.
This is the place bombed by warplanes sent by Kir Mayardit and his brother-in-law, Bol Mel.
The international response has been no less troubling. In early May, at the height of these bombings, the African Union and the Intergovernmental Authority on Development issued a joint statement. In it, they reaffirmed their support for the government of South Sudan. The language was diplomatic, appeals to peace, unity, and sustainable development, but notable absent was any mention of the airstrikes, of the civilians killed, or of the hospital destroyed. The timing is significant. While warplanes were bombing towns like Fangak and New Fangak, the African Union and IGAD chose to stand beside the very government responsible. This statement did not condemn atrocities, it ignored them. In doing so, it legitimized a regime engaged in the systematic targeting of its own citizens. Meanwhile, the South Sudanese government continues to entrench its power. In March, opposition leader Riek Machar was arrested and trumped up charges. The 2018 revitalized peace agreement, once a beacon of hope, has stalled. Key provisions such as the establishment of a hybrid court remain unfulfilled. This hybrid court was designed as a central pillar of transitional justice. Its mandate to hold those responsible for war crimes accountable and to bring justice to victims across South Sudan. But the government has resisted its implementation, delaying it, blocking it, avoiding any attempt at accountability. Why? Because justice threatens the impunity on which the current power structure depends. The humanitarian toll is staggering. More than 130,000 civilians have been displaced in 2025 only. Entire towns emptied, hospitals obliterated. With no regular public services from the government, not from neglect, but from targeted state sabotage. Despite all this, the international response remains muted. The African Union and IGAD have issued only a statement of concern, no sanction, no independent investigations, no emergency sessions. This inaction is not neutrality, it is complicity, and it raises a sobering question. Is the international community more concerned with preserving the illusion of stability than protecting lives? What message does it send when a government can bomb hospitals and face no consequences? What future can there be for South Sudan when justice is denied and silence is rewarded? For those still living in places like Old Fangak, New Fangak, Mayom, and Nasser, they are not just victims of a broken state, they are victims of a world that sees their suffering and chooses silence. In time of peace, hospital heals. In time of war, they testify. Thank you for watching, and please check out other videos on this matter.